everybody, and welcome to another episode of Supper Club Presents Pizza Time. I'm Marty. Tonight I'm joined by Paul, or Uncle Paulie. You boys better be good. I, by popular demand, got Papa John's tonight. My audience was demanding such. Paul, would you mind sharing what you got this evening?
Sure. So we got a little local pizza joint here called Zoe's, just a best around, and so I always get all meat, and it's a nice, not too thick but not too thin, a nice original crust. Tastes good.
Nice. I appreciate you coming tonight. I've been wanting to interview since the first time I did an interview, but I wanted to make sure I was matured a little bit before we talked. So thank you very much for coming tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's fun.
I'd like to know a little bit more about you outside of your pinball work. I'm pretty familiar with all the tables you do. We'll talk about those too. But can you tell me a little bit about what hobbies you have outside of pinball, what home life might be like, and are you really an uncle?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I'm married, 2 kids. Kids are out of school. They're old. One's a meteorologist, and the other one is he's in the Air Force. So a couple dogs, and I work for an aerospace company. Been doing that for 31 years, and so now we're in the simulation business. So it's kind of fun. Get to do some of that at work and some of that here as a hobby. But one of my biggest hobbies, I guess, was woodworking. I did a lot. I grew up doing construction with my dad. And so I do a lot of woodworking, and the poker table behind me, built that, quite a bit of things in my house I built. So, and then getting into this, other hobbies, I guess, just general bar sports, pool, darts, love playing cards, arcade stuff, pinball, of course, and love beer, love friends. We hang out quite a bit. So, have a nice big basement here for entertaining friends. So a little bit of me anyway.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. So I got a nice hazy IPA for this today. So it's good. A local brewery as well. So.
It's Sunday. I'm keeping it light. So I got Cider Geist. It's a pear and elderflower cider.
Fun. Nice. Yeah, this one's called Zoinks. The Iowa Brewing Company.
Zoinks.
So very cool. Yep. Back to the Scooby-Doo.
Cool. I like the microbrews.
And you asked if I'm an uncle. Yeah. I mean, of course, I got family and I have an uncle, but that's not where the nickname originated. I was managing
where the nickname originated?
At work, managing a group of engineers, and they're all. It was kind of a hectic time at work, and everybody's trying to make it fun, giving nicknames. And one day I come in, and they nicknamed me Uncle Paulie. He says, Uncle Paulie, he fixes problems. Kind of what I was doing, and kind of stuck. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, Uncle Paulie, he's the cleaner.
Yeah, that's right. Actually. Uh-huh.
Well, what got you into virtual pinball, Paul?
Perfect. So doing woodworking,
No rush.
I ended up seeing something to build one of those MAME arcade cabinets. Like, oh, that's cool. And I'd been tinkering with a Raspberry Pi. I'm making some scrolling message signs. You could probably see one behind me there at the bottom. Just a lot of tinkering. I've got an electrical engineering degree, so love electronics, and started making some of that. Ended up making a arcade MAME cabinet, built it, put all the fun games on it, and looking around and some videos popped up of this virtual pinball. I'm like, whoa, I love playing pinball, love pinball. Can I do this? And so I started taking measurements and built a virtual pinball cab. That was about 5 years ago. And man, is that cool. And it's fun. And buddies over, we're playing. And so that's really how I got into it. And maybe 3 years ago, the world of VR, started tinkering. And boy, that's certainly a game changer once you get into virtual reality. And that really changed my hobby. I really started to spend a lot of time doing that. We'll talk later on how I started doing tables, I'm sure, but that's really where I started.
When you found the hobby, did you find VPX right away, or were you in FX3? And
so I tried all of them, right? I tried that. I tried Future Pinball. I tried, and of course, Visual Pinball. That was 9 and 10. There was a lot of VPT files, and just starting to come to VPX, and so yeah, that's pretty much started was the Pinball 10, and it just played so much better, and it was a lot more fun, and so I was just doing that mostly, I suppose.
And when did you get into table creation?
So sitting down in VR, there was just certain things I'm like, because I started playing, Six Toe did so many virtual reality tables, and I'm like, gosh, these play so much better and so much more fun and realistic, and started finding out where you could port any table into virtual reality, and then Six Toe made some templates, and like, I could probably do this, and so I started using his templates, and of course I reached out to Six Toe so many times, and what an awesome guy. He just kept helping me. I mean, for just helping. And
He's incredible.
Oh yeah, and ask him a question, he would respond, he'd look at the tables, he'd fix things, and like, oh, this is so cool. And so everything I've done, it's all started because of Six Toe, that he just truly helped. So, that's where it started. And then once I was doing something in virtual reality, he'd say, oh, this lighting's off. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you could do that. Oh, and next thing you know, it was just kept building and building from there. And eventually he let me join the BPW Discord group. And so all the guys in BPW, of course, they started helping and providing feedback and suggesting I do things and learn some things. So it's just a long learning process, but that's what I think drives me a lot, is to learn and actually accomplish something. And that's what makes this hobby so fun. It just combines all my interests in one, really. So,
Yeah, I noticed with some of your tables, you're always looking to improve. Some examples I can think of are Twister, Sorcerer. You keep going back. It seems to me like you're a guy who enjoys to tinker and learn, and enjoys taking on new skills. What drives you to keep coming back to those old projects? And is it just that, or?
Well, it's a mix, I think. I think some tables are just truly just, to me, I enjoy more. And so a table like Sorcerer, I think that one was JP's table originally, I think, and he let me mod it. Did all the work that I could at the time. And then, of course, as time progressed, like Apopis did sync corrections, and there was other VPW corrections and physics corrections. And then Apopis actually encouraged me. He's like, well, why don't you try doing some 3D inserts? Why don't you give that a shot? And like, oh, that's got to be so hard. It's going to be, in GIMP, I was kind of the Photoshop editing tool, not good at it. And I just spent time and learned it. And, I've done quite a few now with the 3D inserts, and it is a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work, but it's worth it. And so some tables that I really like, I wanted to go get and put those in. And so just utilize the methods that Pop is and the BPW team that they came up with. I just utilize what they've done and incorporate it into the tables that I like. So Sorcerer is one that I just really wanted to go back and do it right.
Yeah. Well, it shows every time you upgrade something. You can visually see it, but you can also feel it in the play. What's the most challenging aspect of table creation for you? Do you have one?
Well, every table I do, there's something different, and it's from a challenging perspective. I guess when things just don't work right, the Apollo table that it came up and launched balls back and forth. Timing wasn't exactly like it was supposed to. There were some issues. Spent a lot of time rewriting that code, and that's challenging, right? Writing the whole code and the script. Some other tables you had to be pretty creative to get the way the ball bounces or the way some script works. I have to go fix that. Had to rewrite the current table I'm doing. I had to go rewrite some code, and that's always challenging. But that's what makes it so much fun, though, because then you just sit down, think about it, and there's got to be a way. And so there usually is. Yeah.
Hold on just a sec, Paul. I'm having an audio issue.
So, and just learning. So GIMP was challenging.
Can you hear me okay?
That was pretty hard, but once I got it, that was just a tool, right? Works out pretty well. One thing I haven't ventured into really is Blender, and it's just a whole new thing to go learn, and I just haven't sat down to do that. I did enough on, I used it once for Apollo. It's that handle, T-handle kind of for the launch, and that's about as good as I could do as a little basic cylinder handle. But there's guys like Comet, just incredible. You reach out to Comet, and he's done so many ramps for tables I've done and cleaned up a variety of different things. Just incredible. So having those guys there that so willing to help and test and makes everything fun, makes it a fun community. So.
If you were to offer any advice to somebody getting into table creation, what would it be?
Oh, take your time and learn, and start small. Start doing small things, and then just build on it. Jumping in, there's just so much there to just jump in and go. It's start small and ask a lot of questions. There's so many guys out here that are so happy, willing to help. Just try, and I don't know. I mean, I think it's small steps. Do something easy, and you'll see your work, and it's exciting. And then try go implement the next thing, or don't always just ask for somebody to do it for you. Ask how to do it, and then it's fun to learn and fun to implement. That's good advice or not, but it's probably best I can think of. At least that's how I did it, is start small, slow, and it's surprising. The more attention to detail you put into something, the more things you find, more things that you can improve and make it better. So. But always ask the original authors. I mean, always reach out and see if it's okay, if they're all right with you adding some of the additional elements to it, and then of course give them credit. I mean, none of this would be possible without what they did. Building the tables originally, it has to be a tremendous amount of time to go put all that together. And me, I'm just making what they did and changing how it plays and trying to add physics, and which is utilizing everything the VPW team has done.
Well, I mean, we all help each other make things better. That's what makes a polished piece of product. So, thank you. Do you get to play often, whether real or virtual?
So sometimes, I mean, I think usually when I'm done with a table, get it released, I usually try to take a little break and play. Or if the buddies are over, we'll fire up the pin cap, and then we can all gather and hang out there. That's a great environment to play. Switch tables and especially you got somebody over like, oh, I remember this table, and that's fun. But VR is a little hard to do with multiple people. So, but I usually play when something new gets released. I'll go hammering it for a while, but usually between tables. I get a pretty addictive personality, and I'm starting to update a table. I'm pretty much all in. Every
I can relate to that OCD, ADD type thing where you focus in on one thing and passionately pursue it.
And usually when you're developing, you end up playing that table, or at least pieces of that table, thousands of times. I mean, you're playing and playing, but it's not really playing the full game. It's really more this shot. How do I change the shot? How did it come out of the saucer? Does it fall to
How's
the
it
flipper?
bouncing off of this? Or
yeah, so you're tweaking and tweaking, and so you're fired a table literally thousands of times. And to actually sit and play your own table, usually towards the end, like final test, I'll play it. Make sure I play it on the desktop, play it on a full pin cab, and play it at VR, just to make sure that it works well on all three. So, and I do love the tables that I try to put out. I make sure I make them a hybrid. So with a very simple script change, you can switch between different modes. That way you're not branching to different tables. I find that
one table for desktop, VR, and cabinet.
Yep. A little more work up front, but once you get the code set up to do that, then it's just whatever you do works for all three, right?
Yeah, I appreciate those releases. I think some people need education on what the difference is between some of the way tables are released, but yours makes it super easy to manage. I assume you get burnout on, you probably don't get burnout on your tables as much because you focus on areas and then you play it later, and then I see you come back and update it again. So you still.
So it's a mix, but you do. At some point, you're like, okay, I'm tired, and you hear the same intro music or the same sounds, like the old Williams arcade type sounds. You're listening to that, and you hear that over and over and over. And so, yeah, it kind of gets ingrained in your head. And little snippets of sounds, you'll hear somebody say something, or you'll hear something somewhere. Oh, that's from this table. Oh, yeah, that sounds just like this table. And
Lion Man.
Yeah, just anything. Sorcerer.
Sorcerer, yeah. Atlantis does. It's the girl talking, but I can't remember what the attract sound is.
Oh, yeah.
Those are wonderful.
And mousing around. So you want to mouse around.
You want to mouse around.
Yeah.
Those are fun. What are your top two favorite pinballs of all time? Real or virtual? Just what are your favorites?
So I think it's a variety. I don't know if there's top two, and that's a hard one to answer because I think it depends. The AC/DC is a perfect table. You got buddies sitting around. It's a fun table. It's action, great music at the same time. It's just a perfect one for a bunch of buddies to sit around and play. Growing up when I was a kid, I just remember there was 8-Ball Deluxe and loved playing that. I love shooting pool. Here's a table that combined both. So not a lot to that table, but it's just a lot of fun, brings back good memories, right? And
the theming and sound are 90% of the table to me.
Yeah. And then all the 80s, of course, I just love, of course, that's where I grew up in. And you go hit the arcade and you remember all those tables. And so love those. I don't know. I think it doesn't need to be too complex. Like today's tables are pretty complex and there's a lot of rule sets and they're fun, but there's some, so the new Godzilla is fantastic. I think that's a fun table. the Black Knight Swords of Rage is a lot of fun, and it built on the old, the series of Black Knight and Black Knight 2000, and that's a lot of fun. So I don't know if I have a specific favorite, but I think there's just a variety of just real fun tables to play.
Well, I'll let you off the hook with that.
Yeah, and Apollo 13 is probably not a lot of people's favorites, but once you start playing it and there's 13 multiple, holy cow, that's just exciting when you get all those to drop, and that's so cool. And I played
call outs. It's a fun table.
It is fun. I played that. So been to Las Vegas a few times, and they've got, of course, the Hall of Fame there. And I'm wearing that shirt today about it. But they have an Apollo table there. I sat there, and I don't know how many quarters I pumped into that thing. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I was surprised. When the Sega tables were originally out, I didn't tend to be attracted to them. But as I've grown up and played them more and more, I really enjoy a lot of the Sega tables.
Yeah, yeah.
The exception of Godzilla. It's a mess.
Yeah. The new one was fantastic. That's sturdy.
Well, the new Godzilla, yes. The original one, based on the movie. Thank you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So we know you like to tinker. I mean, I've seen in your credits you do some scripting. You do a lot of different things. VR rooms. You add NFOSI and fleet packages. Safe to assume you've learned from guys in the Beepin workshop area like Board, Flupper, Six Toe, you already mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, Board, oh my gosh, he did the tutorial how to implement NFOSI and how to implement, Roth, right? And how to put in the fleet sounds, just broke it out. And I don't know, there must have been a series, maybe 4 or 5 of the YouTube tutorials and documentation that went along with it. And I just sat in the first few tables I did. I'm like, wow, this is a lot of work. I don't know if I can do this. As you followed his tutorial step by step, and I was like, how? And then just light bulbs go off. I get what he's doing. I get how this works, and I can do this, right? But it's a lot of attention to detail. Don't forget to, there's certain things to make sure that are working, but yeah, the more you do, the more you just learn. And again, the guys, you got Rick and Pinstrat Stan, they're just fantastic for testing. Rick's done, real master, real pinball, and to have his feedback is just fantastic. And Pinstrat, same thing, and everyone else as well, right? But
Rick's very honest and knowledgeable, and Dan is very thorough.
Right.
Great tester.
But yeah, the other guys in the they're so helpful and just fantastic feedback, and I appreciate it every time. A lot of the tables the BPW team does, one, it's perfection, but each person seems to have a master at each certain piece, and they work together so well. And I guess maybe I'm more like, I just want to learn everything. So I just start taking a table and try to do everything and learn everything. And then when I do put it up for test, most everything's done. And then it's feedback and tweaks, and I really enjoy that. So
nice.
Yeah.
It's a good community, and
drama-free
and full of help.
Yep.
It's incredible to watch. For those of you that have not had a chance to try VR, let's ask Paulie. Tell us about that segment. What's your experience with VR?
What do you just in general, overall VR, whatever?
Well, when you first got into it, did you have a wow factor for it? For me, it was the depth. It was how I could move my head up and down, side to side, and see the physicality to the pinball, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, so actually, I consider myself an early adopter from a technology perspective. I'm willing to spend money and try new technologies, anytime I can. And the Oculus Rift, when it came out, it's a CV1 or whatever version it was. Like, I got to have this. So, of course, I put the big sensors up and everything's all set up, and just a variety of different fun little games. What's that, Beat Saber? What all those games are? It's kind of fun, right? And everything just looks so real. Yeah, right. It's so real. And then you started seeing, I think it was Sixto or whatever released the VR. Actually, whoever wrote the VPX GL, I'm not even sure who was the
I'm
the
not
master.
sure on the GL. Sixto helped everybody template everything. And
Yeah.
get the.
And he started
moving.
pushing some tables out and getting things set up to run. And to me, it was just a total game changer. And I'm pretty fortunate where I work as well. So, aerospace company, and specifically in aviation, and I manage a team in simulation. So, of course, we're venturing into virtual reality. And so I get to see some of that at work as well, and experiment and learn how that works and apply what's done there. And I can think about the same here. And eventually I bought the HP Reverb, the G2, whatever. Unbelievable. Just looks gorgeous. And it's just addicting. It's so real. The pin cab feels real and everybody can stand around it, right? But it's not just static. Whereas this is just, So I even bought one of the Xbox Connects. Probably get some head tracking.
Oh, cool.
The full pin cap. It's not quite working right. I think that's maybe down the road. Somebody may develop something to get that working better. But if you can combine both, it'd be awesome.
Well, my understanding of table development, a lot of these things aren't created in 3D. They're flat images. So was that a challenge for you, like on Sorcerer? Was
actually almost every table? To be honest with you, when you go work it, they're created flat, and you'll find that the light projects off, or the way that the walls are set, or rails, or other things, they're not placed 100%. You can't really see precisely unless you've got another tool like the VPW. They export to Blender or some other 3D tools and can see that. But in those environments, you'll find just general mistakes, or just placement, or something that's just maybe not right, or the wall isn't the right height, or something you couldn't quite tell. But once you're in virtual reality and you're looking at a table, you start spotting just about everything. And I'll spend time tweaking and moving things around too, just to get it looking just right as it would. So VR actually has become a main tool when I'm updating a table. It really helps. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. It shows you things you wouldn't have seen normally from a flat view.
Right.
Do you see any innovations or improvements coming to VR with, like, say, VPE down the road, or maybe some other tools? Is there anything exciting in that realm coming?
So I don't have a direct access to that, right? I don't really see, other than what's been released publicly as far as the videos. But I think it's going to be a game changer when it does get developed. The simulations we do at work, we use Unity, and I know some of the other teams are using Unreal, but I think VPE is going to use Unity, and the realism is just incredible. The light reflections,
that combined with the blender baking everybody's been doing lately, the new techniques.
Right, it'll just be gorgeous, I think, and I'm very excited to see that when it comes out. And I do think that'll be a whole new level of simulation, right? So I'm very excited.
You haven't
for that.
started using it or looking at it yet yourself?
I haven't, no.
Just curious.
I have not.
And so let's shift back. Atlantis, Comet, Sorcerer, those are my favorites that you've made. How do you go about picking, the next table you're going to do? Go ahead.
Sure. I think there's a variety of different ways. I mean, one, I got to like the table. It's really hard to put all your time and effort on a table if you don't enjoy that table. So one, want to like it. And then you got to find tables that are ready for an upgrade. Some may have just been done and there's no need to go touch that table. And I think I mentioned earlier, you got to get permission from an author, the original creator. Maybe they have that in their queue that they want to work on later. They don't want you to mod it. They're happy. So once you get permission, it's a table that's ready. It's one that you like. Then of course, then you go and start working on it. And an example, Herway's tables. He did a whole bunch a while back. He did Mousing Around, Atlantis, Laser War.
Yeah.
And I had asked him if he'd be okay if I updated those to the latest VPW physics and sounds and sleep sounds and all that. And it was a great example. He had said he would have loved to have done it himself, but he's been, life gets in the way sometimes and he's busy and he says, go for it. And so updated Mousing Around and he's like, geez, if you want, please, why don't you, if you want to do Atlantis and Laser War, go for it. And those are two tables I had never really played before, and maybe not have been ones that I would have picked, but it turned out, wow, they're fun, right? Old school, they're fun.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that the more you play and get into the rule set, there's so many tables out there that are a lot more fun than you think. And
definitely.
So usually that's how you find them. And but right now I reached out to Gold Chico and asked if I could update some tables, and he said, sure, go for it. And so there was a table there I wanted to work on, and there's now a few more that he's willing to let me work on as well. So I'll work on those too. So
cool.
Venture in. So yeah, but each one you do, it's a new challenge. Mousing Around, there was some big challenges with how mechanisms worked on the outsides, the little mouse trap, and timing and timers and how the original code was written, and it just couldn't quite make it work. And then Rothbauer came in, and he's like, here, let me rewrite that script. And so he got that working, but no, it turned to be a fun table. Enjoyed playing that one. That was one I wanted to work on. Speaking of which, I suppose I should probably go back and put 3D inserts on that as well. That's one table that was done without the inserts. And that'd be a nice one to update too. So, right.
Yeah, no, that's what I like about your stuff. You're always improving things.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Actually, from that perspective too, once you're playing in VR and you start playing a table or an older table that was never updated, and the sounds just don't sound the same. They don't feel the same. They don't. And so that's the other reason. So if it's a table I like, I'd really like to play the table. And I'm willing to go put in the time and effort to make it sound right. So I guess what I do, I'm just willing to go put in the time.
That's great. Mousing Around aside, what's your typical work cycle like? Is it 2 months, 6 months, a year when you grab the table?
It'll depend. Maybe a month or two. I mean, there's probably 100 hours or so that I put into each update. So that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it depends. So for instance, like when I did Herway's tables, did Mousing Around, and each author kind of has their own style, their own scripting way of how they script things and how they do things on a table. You start recognizing how each person does something a little different. And so then when I went and did Atlantis and Laser War updates, those didn't take as long because I could reuse a lot of what I did in the other one. right? The style was the same. How he did the general illumination was very similar, and I could repeat some of the code and tweak it. So that did save time. So I think for a while there, I was releasing tables pretty quickly, and that's probably why, because they're pretty similar to the prior ones.
And you mentioned you're working on some of Al's stuff, Gold Chico. I assume the same thing applies. First time is rough, and
yeah, actually,
then you learn his style.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm working on Solar Fire right now, and it's an old Williams table. It's actually quite similar to Black Knight. Right around that same era, the way it plays. So
do you think you could share that with your nieces and nephews tonight, and perhaps when we're done talking, I can put it on the pinball cab? And really?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Mom was right.
So it's getting close. That one's here. I put it to the VPW team earlier this morning, and they started looking at providing some feedback. And so.
Okay.
So that version plays a little easy. I'm going to make it a little harder, I think. So we'll see where it goes.
All right. Hopefully it'll look really good then.
Yeah, but that's another example of a table that I'd never played that table ever, and it looked kind of cool. And now the more I play and work on it, it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, it's a table that drives you to go hit a certain batch of targets before you go. Lock a ball, and you got to go hit another batch of targets, and you got to go do this. So it may not look like there's a lot going on, but there's a lot of play to it still. That it drives you to go put the time in as you play it too. So it's kind of cool. So,
you actually told me about it a week ago, and I have a local one. I had no idea we had one, but it reminds me of TX Sector a little bit. It's not straightforward. There's things to do.
There's things to do.
I wouldn't have expected it from a table of that era, but
there was
to see.
You see reviews, and I think there's only like 500 or 600 tables ever made. I think it was a pretty low production run, and reviews are they just based it off of Black Knight and just did a few things, and I think they did, but it is different, and I think it's pretty fun.
Well, even the location we have here, it's shoved in the back. It's not maintained at all. It's in poor shape. So, okay. Cactus Jack was already a great collaboration by a bunch of people. And then you came and brought it to life with 2.0 updates. You want to talk about Cactus Jack a little? It looked like you had something to say.
Oh, sure. I mean, what a fun table. I mean, just a cool, unique. I mean, some of those, that table is fun. I don't know, some of like the mousing around, like the class of 1812. I mean, different tables, right? Just fun and just quirky and kind of neat. And it was one of those that I just really liked and wanted to mess around with it. And again, it was one that I wanted to play and have it sound better, and sound real, and have the physics play. So I spent the time to go update it, and love that tape, actually. And it's probably one I've done a while ago. I should probably go update it again, right? With the inserts on that one.
I had the same feeling when you released Class of 1812. It was one I always wanted to really play because it was visually appealing to me.
Yeah.
But the first couple versions just weren't very fun to play.
It is fun. I enjoy it. Yep. And I don't know, something fun to make it a humorous table at the same time. I don't know, it gets you laughing a little bit. And kind of fun.
Do you think you'll get to any other Gottliebs in the future?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't have a bias towards one manufacturer or the other.
Sure.
Maybe. I know, so some of the Gold Chico tables, think there's a Gottlieb in there that he had done that I might work on.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no manufacturer bias whatsoever. They're fun.
Okay. Well, we got Al Gold Chico coming up in the near future. I'll ask him how he thinks you're doing.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So one
awesome.
thing, though, I mean, just it's what an incredible fun hobby to go and just expand on what work everybody else has done, and what a great community, and just to be a part of that. And I mean, I don't want to take credit other than I'm willing to put the work in, and these guys in the VPW team, the original authors, that's just amazing talent, and just being able to work on things they did and try and improve them and try and implement some the newer technology and code and development. It's just a lot of fun to take a table that's fun and I don't want to say bring it to life, but just bring it to a different level. It's just a lot of fun. Great hobby.
Or bring it to the current.
Yeah, the current standards
that have been developed.
Yeah.
So. Well, I think you're selling yourself a little short. You're very humble. And there's a lot of people here right now who probably agree. Cheers to you if you're here. You're my hero. I mean, I can't do what you're doing. And you're giving me things I love. Thank you.
My pleasure. Like I said, I think Six Toe mentioned it once, and I 100% agree. To me, it's almost more fun updating a table than just playing. So I get a tremendous amount of enjoyment of just working on a table and making it better. It's a lot of fun.
I get enjoyment playing your tables, being a part of testing, and just watching you guys work on it together. It's really cool to see the collaboration live. You guys are amazing. Keep up the great work. Any thoughts you'd like to leave with this evening?
Thoughts, I guess, I'm just really enjoy being a part of the community and being able to contribute where I can. I mean, there's so many years that I just downloaded tables and played them and not really realizing how much effort people put in. And it's just one way to give back, I guess, so I'm willing to put the time and effort in and try to bring tables to newer standards. And it's just a lot of fun, and appreciate all the feedback and comments and things to improve. Yeah, just makes it great.
Well, it sounds like we're very like-minded. I'm no table creator, but that's why I wanted to do these spotlights, is to bring you guys out, put a face to the name, make people feel more comfortable about reaching out to each other. That's one area I think we can all improve in. If you want to learn how to do something and you can't find a tutorial, come to one of these guys and ask. More than likely, they're gonna help you learn it. They won't do the work for you. Don't ask them to do that. If you're inspired, come out and get some help from the community and create something for yourself, like Uncle Paulie has done. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time tonight.
Hey, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
For me as well. So from myself and Paul to you, we hope you have a good night, and thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Paul.
What is this, Wonka? Some kind of fun house?
Why, having fun?